Hello, everyone. This is Coach Mike Ronchetti, and I'm excited to have a fellow business owner from Indiana with us today. It's my pleasure to welcome Marlene Betances to the show today. Hello, Marlene.
Hello, Mike. How are you today?
Excellent, excellent. It's a beautiful day out, and I'm looking forward to this conversation because I want to hear all about your firm and your history. So let's start this off. Tell me a little bit about yourself, a bit about your personal story, where you're born, you live, your family, some hobbies. And I always like to ask the question, tell me a funny story that your family likes to tell about you. They want that you can share.
So I grew up in New York City, raised by my mom and grandma, with my sister. Left New York when I went to Cornell University and got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Ended up coming to Indiana in 1999 when I was working for Johnson and Johnson, and they acquired DePuy. So we've been here in Warsaw, Indiana ever since. Been married to my husband for almost 34 years now. And
Nice.
we have two children, 30 and 20, a daughter and a son. And we love it here. In terms of hobbies, I do a lot of nonprofit support work, very involved in the community. I'm on several boards, and it has really been become a big part of my life, and it helps keep me balanced. I think as a business owner, you need to have a life outside of work in order to stay sane. So I've really found that in this community, and I love the ability to be involved. So
Well,
that's really my hobby. In terms of a funny story, I was trying to find something from my youth that wouldn't be completely embarrassing. This is still a little embarrassing. I must have been, I don't know, 9, maybe. We were watching a boxing match, Muhammad Ali, and he got hit and he wasn't looking too good. And I turned to the family and I said, "He's all right. He's just a little smooky." And that became my nickname. Yeah, my mother's probably the only one that calls me that, but yeah, it's held on all these years.
it's a wonderful story. That is fantastic. I love that. So, I guess we'll jump into the topic of your business a little bit. Tell us about your business, how it came about, and at what point you have the confidence that you could actually run your own business.
It was really born from my experience at DePuy. I was with DePuy J&J for 19 years. I worked in regulatory compliance, document management, label development, and then I moved into IT. So I had a very good, broad um, vision and understanding of how the whole supply chain works in med device. And an opportunity I saw was with relabeling, repackaging, because the inventory moves in and out quite frequently and requires rework. And so I saw there was a niche there. And I never intended to be an entrepreneur, but during lunch one day, I mentioned that I thought it would be a good idea. And all of a sudden, my friends were encouraging me to start a business. So I decided to do it as something, as a side hustle. We started essentially doing it after work. I disclosed my intention to J&J, and they approved me doing it with the approval from my managers. And so it started as something I did as a second shift activity.
Wow. So now that we understand how you got there, and I guess the confidence got built up over encouragement from friends, we'll hear more about that, I'm sure, today. But tell me a bit more about EnPak, your company, EnPak LLC.
So we were founded in January of 2011. Again, it was that vision of rework, but it's evolved into a company that really provides logistics and operations support to primarily smaller companies. So we can help them from the beginning of making referrals for where they should get their product made or various services to the inspection of the product when it comes to the door, packaging, labeling, kitting, simple assembly, all the way to warehousing those finished goods and sending them out to their customers. For larger med tech companies, we do recall support. So we can help manage the recall. We can rework the product so that it can go back out, or we can scrap it for them. So we manage that cycle from beginning to end. Yeah, as well as doing some project management support.
Wow, this sounds like a real diverse company. So for everyone listening, check out the company in the link in the description below. I'll comment, of course, on LinkedIn what you thought of our interview, as well as that you watched it. Appreciate that. So so now getting to a little bit more personal stuff here. I'm kind of always looking at kind of where you came from, your roots of ideas, but can you usually actually talk about a story, maybe share a story about somebody who actually inspired you or pushed you that you could do it and the impact that person had?
I think a lot of that confidence comes from my formal education. I went to Cornell University and got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and that I I've never been in the military, but I think those first 2 years would have been similar to a boot camp where you're weeded out.
Hmm.
So the competition was intense, to say the least, and I had to dig down and fight for it. I had to learn how to learn essentially because it wasn't the kind of experience where you can just regurgitate what it was that you were told in the lecture room. You really had to learn how to make decisions, figure things out with very little information. Um, and having succeeded and graduated with that degree really helped me build the confidence in myself that all obstacles can be overcome and you can achieve what it is you want to achieve once set your mind to it and are willing to ask for help when you need it. I think that's one of the biggest barriers.
Fascinating. Rather than one person, you're saying kind of it was a culture that that culture of that Cornell uh, engineering group that just set your mind right, and how you had to be disciplined as well as seek results. That's fascinating.
And
So
obviously, there have been a lot of people along the path that had helped encourage me and supported me. But I think that's the root of my confidence.
got it. So what's been the biggest learning as a business owner so far? Would you say as a business owner now?
Yeah, I would say that the importance of relationships
Hmm.
has been the biggest learning. Not only because of the partnerships that you can develop, and um, it's also the learning, from others, making the connections with others, having people outside the business as support and an outlet is also critical in along that journey. But the importance of those relationships, right? Every customer that I have has been a referral from somebody that I've worked with or I know, or somebody that I've met at some event. So it's certainly been critical in my business experience to make sure that you make those connections and you keep those connections healthy.
Got it. Thank you. So we know that kind of got in the same theme here that business success doesn't happen in isolation. Kind of over the years, what's been one or two of the biggest challenges you've faced, and maybe a fellow business owner who helped you through it?
Some of my challenges have been fairly typical, the financial challenges. We started bootstrapping, so all the initial funding was what we had. We didn't have any investors or loans. I've taken a lot of my own 401k to support the funding of this business. And it's the other challenge I would say is relationships that didn't quite work. Um, that can also be as challenging. I tell new business owners that you need to select your partners as seriously as you do your life partner. Because you're going to go through very difficult times together. And if you're not aligned on your values and why you're doing it, it can make it a nightmare at times. So I would say that those are the two in my experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you. Those are very insightful. So if I asked you to pick maybe three people in your business journey, owning the business, who've been basically very, very much a help to you. And I realize that I'm asking you to get a little bit more detail about maybe
Mm.
visualize the people. You can name names if you want to, but visualize them as far as who you might be grateful to for this growth and who they are and how they helped you. Because it's one thing to be community member, but some people might say that's not a good partnership. Get away from that, and that person might be very helpful.
Hmm. I would say that my EnPak team, well, I have 5 employees now, but I started really for the most of the journey, I've had 3. And they have been my rock, my reason for fighting through the hard times. So I credit them for my persistence and my unwillingness to give up. I would say my husband and family for being my safe harbor. The hug, no matter what the day was like, and just the peace at home. And then Robin Barney, who was a mentor of mine, who I approached when I first started the business, made an investment. And my conversation with her was not, the purpose was not to get funding, but the fact that she offered to help us out um, really meant a lot to me. It was another sign of confidence that I probably needed at that point. And through a lot of the hard times, I also had that in mind that I could not fail because she had made that investment and I wasn't gonna squander that. That it meant a lot. And so it was a driver at times.
Wow. Thank you for those descriptions of that relationships. That's important for our listeners to understand how it is a family situation in many ways of different people. So thank you. So let's kind of wrap up here and aim at the future a little bit. As you think about the next 1 to 2 years, maybe even 3 years, what is your number one point of growth or challenge to achieve those goals you want to do?
There are a couple of areas, or 3 areas, I would say. We've just formed a partnership with EcoClean, who is a manufacturer of high-end cleaning machines. And so we've partnered to bring contract cleaning to EnPak. They're providing the machines and the support, and we've provided the space and the people to help run it within our quality system. And so we're real excited about the opportunities that will come with that, not just for us in terms of being able to expand our service offerings, but also for the community to have access to a very high quality cleaning process. So that's going to be very exciting in the coming year and moving into the future. And we also want to expand our recall support services and project management consulting. So
Oh,
a lot of things going on here at EnPak, and I'm really excited about where we're going.
fantastic, fantastic. So you have some vision where you want to go. What we have oftentimes run into is the opinions of how to get there. And Jim Rome, which happens to be a business coach legend in our world, he passed away just recently, but he basically
Mm.
made the comment: we become the average of 5 people that we spend the most time with. And as you think about it, what advice do you have for the business owner who might be trying to do this all on their own?
I would say that you really can't do it on your own. Um, for a lot of reasons. Nobody has all the information that you need in order to run a business. So it's a constant learning. You have to take each phase, each challenge as it comes, but you have to let go of the idea that you have all the answers, right? And I think the other learning that I've had is that you have to let go of any expectations of how quickly something's going to happen, or whether or not that customer is going to call you back. Um, you have to keep moving forward without any assumptions and keep building the business and the network in order to be able to succeed.
Hmm. Great advice. Thank you for that one. So Marlene, kind of as we do the final wrap up here, it sounds like you've been blessed with some very incredible people in your life who've kind of helped you along the journey. What would you like to say to them?
Thank you. Thank you for your support, your encouragement, for never giving up on us, and especially to our customers. We worked with a lot of startups who have trusted us to expand our services because they had a need. And that's been a big key in our growth and the opportunities that we've continued to gain, for their referrals and trusting us, um, with their children, because in many ways I feel like a business is another child. Uh, there's no walking away, the good and the bad. You work through it because you're looking to build something bigger than you. So thank you to everyone that's been involved in that journey. There have been too many to name.
Appreciate that as well as thanks for those great words. So Marlene, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for being on my show.
Thank you for having me.